everybody, and welcome to this episode of Two Bears Podcast. This episode, I have to put kind of a warning out there because we will be addressing Noma, and the allegations of abuse that have been levied against that kitchen and that chef, and some of the abuse that Zev and I have experienced in our career and our thoughts on it. Uh, there is a language warning on this, and there is a topic warning on this. So you have been warned. Enjoy the show.
We're back. All right. It's funny because I watched a documentary last night. This is a wild story. This like derails into the past and kind of ties into what we're going to talk about a little bit. Um, so I watched a podcast last night by a very famous documentary maker named Louis
Right,
Theroux, and he's doing on the manosphere, which is like that Tate guy and his what seems to be a pyramid scheme. Uh,
right,
like they recruit wealthy asshole guys, and then those guys build the brand and like sell the memberships to like this program
right,
of being an alpha male. And through the documentary, we figured out it was kind of coded anti-Semitism and misogyny, but at the same time, like they work in tandem with OnlyFans. There's like this symbiotic relationship between these like women hating dudes and the
right.
porn stars. It's like it's very, very interesting, but like a lot of them are podcasters, all of them are podcasters or live streamers. And watching it, it just made me think of how much I missed podcasting with you. But the interesting thing about it is, so I have a friend named Seth Blumenthal. He's a very
Right,
talented chef. He got a Michelin star on it was Le Jardiniere by Joel Robuchon here when
right,
he was there. But I met him when I was working at Gaghan when I first got the job at Gaghan, which we're going to talk about
right.
um, in our conversation. They gave me like when you get the job offer, they give you a couple weeks to go home before you come back because once you're there, like you're in
Right,
Bangkok,
right,
you don't leave normally for a while. Um, so I came home and I was really bored. Um, when you leave and you come back, the nobody misses you. Like your friends tell you they miss you, but when you come back, like everyone has lives and shit, and like it's
right,
not gonna stop because you're there. So I got really bored, and one of the interns had told me about a chef named Brad Kilgore
right.
in Miami, and that he had this restaurant called Alter, and it was like way ahead of its time. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. I have 2 weeks in Miami. I'm gonna go stage for a few days.
Right.
Why not? I didn't know that staging was paid in America, so I actually just got a job for a week. But um, so I go and immediately become best friends with the CDC there, Seth Blumenthal.
Right,
So after I go back to Thailand, he hits me up and he's like, "Hey, I have like a 3 week trip in Southeast Asia planned. I'm gonna be in Bangkok for like a week. I'd love to hang out." And I'm like, "Absolutely." So we hang out a couple times. One of the third times, I'm in the car, I'm in a taxi, and it's me on one side, Seth in the middle, and then this guy who was my MMA coach, Tommy Hayden. So he was
right,
a UFC fighter for like a couple fights, and he ended up moving to Thailand, coaching MMA and jiu-jitsu and teaching physical education at an international school there. Um, I made friends with him immediately. Like my first day, I went to the dojo.
right,
We just clicked, and like he's a fighter, I'm a fighter. We're best friends, and he's a pretty alpha kind of dude, but never anything like alarming. So
right,
in the car, we're going out to a bar, and he starts telling me that he's getting his PhD in education, and I'm like, that's awesome. And he's like, yeah, and we have to write like our dissertation, like our thesis paper, and I'm like, oh, that's sick. What are you gonna write it on? And he was like, well, I'm gonna write it on the need for more masculinity in the classroom. And I think we were already drinking, but I'm like, what? What are you talking about?
right,
And he's like, well, like when you're in a classroom, man, like little girls are basically rewarded for doing girly things and being little girls, But when guys are aggressive or fight or like don't want to sit still and like want to make noise and make jokes and stuff, like they're reprimanded and it's basically like killing their masculinity and their manhood. And I'm like, Tommy, are you sure that's what you want to do your thesis on? And he's like, yeah, man, I'm like almost finished with it, whatever. And I'm like, Tommy, brother, I'm gonna be real with you. That sounds like not Nazi white supremacist, but somewhere in that like kind of angry male realm. And if I had children, I would not be comfortable with them being at a school where either the teacher or the principal had a PhD in the need for more masculinity in the classroom. And very true to the topic, he punches me across, like across in the chest, like
Right.
across Seth, and Seth is not a fighter.
Right.
Seth is a very chill dude. You know, he's not he punches me in the chest and he's like, yo, get out of the car and fight me right now. And I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fight you. What are you talking about? You're my coach, bro. Like,
Right.
you're gonna kill me. No, I'm not fighting you. Why do you want to fight? And he's like, get out of the fucking car and fight. And he loses it. So I don't know if he was roid raging, possible, or
Right.
what it was, but um, he ended up getting out of the car. I don't remember if Seth got out of the car. I did not get out of the car. Um, and I never hung out with Tommy again after that.
Right.
You know, I thought that the entirety of that night was, as we say now, a giant red flag, you know. And Seth didn't talk to me for like 6 years. He didn't talk to me. He just ghosted. And I hit him up a
Right.
bunch of times and I was like, what's going on? Never said anything to me. Showed up when I opened a restaurant with Brad Kilgore. He showed up in the first week. And I was like, dog, I was a little hurt, that like you ghosted me, man. I thought we were boys. I know that night was weird, like
Right.
I didn't expect any of that. And I stopped being friends with him after. Now we're cool, whatever. But that was like way before this manosphere and the Andrew Tate and like that whole thing happened. But
Right.
I saw it seeds early on.
Well, it's from from what I understand, and mind you, it's like I have three girls, and
I
and
have one. I have one and a wife.
we were moving. Actually, we were moving into the house we're at now, and we had some friends come and help us. And there was a dad and his son that was helping load the truck. And so this dad gets his son in this headlock, and he's like starts like wrestling in him and like tickle him kind of thing. And and my daughter looks at me and she goes, Dad, why does he play with his son like he's a girl? And I was like, what? And she goes, why does he play with his son like his son's a girl? I'm like, it's not that he plays with his son like he's a girl. I play with you like you're a boy. And she goes, oh.
That's really funny.
But it's the whole like masculinity in the classroom. I mean there's something to be said about it. Just I mean when you think about boys and the idea of adventure, the idea of taking risks, of danger, that's all been kind of taken away. And it's very, very sanitized. And I'm not saying that it's moved into the realm of being pro female. It's just that it's sanitized for everyone. Girls don't have those options either. So there's something to be said about it. Now, well, letting bullying happen, those sorts of things. I mean, when I was a kid, I was bullied ruthlessly, and you wouldn't think it because I'm
I wouldn't
I'm
think because
I'm
you're
tall,
probably like 7 feet tall.
right?
Like,
But the issue was because of my height, kids thought I was older than I was. And so the older kids would always pick on me, not realizing that I was 3 years younger than them. And when you're a kid, there's a big difference. And so it's
nobody escapes the bullying machine.
but yeah,
No, it's
that's kind
funny
of
you say that because while we were watching the documentary, I looked at my wife and I was like, a lot of the things they're saying are true. Like masculinity and the like classic like man has
right,
has been like kind of like pushed to the side and told it's not okay and whatever. And like some of the things they're saying are true. However, the reaction of like, no, I'm gonna go to the far opposite and hate women and treat women horribly
Right,
and like only care about money and like the value of a man is based on how many girls you sleep with and how much
right.
money you make. Like it's like that's such a polar like I see masculinity being pushed aside or whatever, and I'm like, all right, it's a new world. You know, do jujitsu. It's a way to be super masculine without being mean to people about it, or whatever.
So one of the questions that I ask is when did you become a man? And I ask this to cooks, I ask this to students, like when did you become a man? And it's the answers is like across a spectrum. And some of it is, when I had sex for the first time, when I drove a car for the first time, uh, experiences with their father for the like went hunting or killed something for the first time. And it's amazing like when do you think like when was that moment when you're like, okay, I'm a man. And for me, it was when I was driving with my father and we were talking. My sister had some things going on in her life and stuff like that. And he was trying to get my perspective on how he should understand what was happening. And so we were talking, and I mean, I could literally go on Google Maps and show you the spot that he said, "I'm proud of you." It's like that, and that's when he that's when I felt like that's when he recognized me as a peer. So that was
I mean, man, like if I so it's definitely between 2 points for me, and they're very late. They're not they're not young at all. Like
right,
I would say when I was around 25,
right.
I think.
Yeah, I'd
Uh,
say for me it was probably when I was like almost like 20, 22. So
okay. So I think when I was around 25, that's when I decided to move to Thailand. But at that point, I had gotten uh pretty deep into jujitsu to the point where like I wasn't drinking or partying at all. And like I think that was the first time that I started to see the world like as a man,
right,
like more clearly and about like responsibilities and there being a point to existing,
right,
and a reason for being here. And then like really the next one would be when I was like 30, man, when I came back from Thailand. Because, when I was in Thailand, even though I was a chef, like I was cooking whatever, like it was still not a mature lifestyle.
right,
It was like a fantasy lifestyle. I was living in Bangkok. I was working at a very famous restaurant. I was very close with the chef. We were partying with Thai celebrities and stuff. And it just wasn't like a real thing. And when I came back with like $400 in my pocket.
yep,
And I moved into my family's house for about 9 months. And then I would say the night I moved out, that was the
right,
first time in my life that I had saved up completely, bought a car, put money down for an apartment, like had
right,
everything was on my own. My dad offered to help me move, but it was supposed to rain the day that he was able to help me. So
right.
between like 11 p.m. and 3 in the morning, I did like 4 trips back and forth uh, from Miami Beach to Aventura, basically, with my truck, and I moved out, and I think that was really the point where, like I had done all the learning I needed to do.
Right.
And that was the first time that I like just put the pedal to the metal and I was like, all right, this is me. And it's crazy. It's very late. But I am a child at heart. Tomorrow
Oh
we're
yeah.
going to a hobby store to buy a bunch of Warhammer figurines and paint.
Yeah, I
So
saw on your Instagram the Warhammer stuff. I've
yeah.
never really got into Warhammer.
So this isn't Warhammer. It's actually
Right,
right in front of me over there. It's called Nemesis. It's a space horror board game.
right,
So you're on a ship, you got to check all the engines. Everyone has personal and private missions, so you have to fulfill the private and the personal mission while checking the engines and making sure the ship doesn't catch on fire. And
right,
anytime you make any noise, like you roll dice, and if you make noise,
right,
the aliens get closer. But Nemesis isn't only because of the aliens. You're also allowed to screw each other over
right.
really hard. And, it has a bunch of figurines. I'm really excited to get back into that. I love painting in general, and I've always been fascinated with that. And um, my wife's really into she's a very talented artist, and she's really into
Right,
video games and arts and crafts and anime and stuff. And I feel like we haven't had time to do any of that together.
right,
For our anniversary, she bought me the full box set of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden manga. So
right.
I'm gonna read that all to my daughter, and we're just gonna be one fantasy anime heavy family.
That's awesome. So you just got back from South Carolina?
Myrtle Beach, the hills have eyes, the dunes have eyes.
So what were you doing there?
So I've been consulting. So I basically sell my IP now, my intellectual property. So this is the third time that I've done this, but the second time that I've gone to a restaurant and completely overhauled their menu, recipes, SOPs, hired
Right,
new people, trained the people. The last one I did was Elsie's daughter at the Hotel Chalet,
right.
and they just called me to tell me that last month the restaurant outperformed the hotel.
That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and they're still running like 70% my menu.
Right,
And so this one, there's this guy in Myrtle Beach who has a very large portfolio. He has like 15 restaurants.
right,
So he has two concepts that he has multiples of, and then a one-off breakfast spot, a one-off bistro, and then a couple of closed ones that are ready for some build outs.
right.
The task was to turn the bistro into a steakhouse. And there was a lot of back and forth about when we were going to open and like a lot of hula hoops, but
Right.
last Wednesday we opened very successfully.
Sweet.
Skeleton crew, crazy,
Right.
just $6 million build out from scratch restaurant, $1.5 million kitchen, biggest, nicest kitchen I've ever been in, but
Right.
nothing makes any sense. Like there's three giant old planchas on the
Right.
back line. Uh, two walk-ins with walk-in freezers. Just the bones are amazing, but the layout was
Right.
clear that much.
Right. Someone just throwing darts on a dartboard.
Yeah,
We'll
somebody
put the
somebody was just like, "This is what a kitchen's supposed to be."
so I had there's a gentleman in town and he designed the design for like Five Guys
Oh, sick.
and he's done a couple other big ones. And I sat down with him and we designed a kitchen together. And to work with a professional, like a guy who actually does this for a living, it's like I give him my menu. I told him the ethos of the restaurant. He laid this thing out within a quarter of an inch, like everything laid out, even all the small wares.
He's a
So with it,
master of efficiency.
oh, it was crazy. It's like with this menu, you're going to need this many six pans, this many third pans, this many. I
Oh,
mean,
send
just
me his contact.
okay. Well, after this, I'll
Is
send
it
it to you.
expensive?
He yeah, they can be expensive,
Yeah.
but he probably won't do it. But the guys, he's like borderline retired now, but the guys underneath him are just as good, like
I just
just as
want to
good.
be friends.
The the I mean, it was crazy because it's like you're gonna need this many ladles, you're gonna need this. It was inspiring. I mean,
Yeah.
just that he had that level of detail into what I wanted to do. But
Could save people thousands, if not tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's something that's very, very worth it. All right, so let's talk about the hot subject of the times.
So so what was your first like what was the first thing that crossed your mind when you heard anything? I'm not talking about like any details or anything like that. Like the first when you heard that there were shots across the bow at Noma, what was your first gut instinct or what was your first reaction? Not knowing what was going on.
Yeah, yeah, my reaction was finally,
It's
finally.
for me it was like, because whenever, you know, I I hope I don't need to say this, but I'm going to say it. Like, I don't believe that there should be abuse in kitchens. I don't think there should be physical abuse. I don't think there should be mental abuse. Uh, that everyone in the kitchen,
Financial,
what's that? Yeah,
financial abuse.
financial abuse. I think that shouldn't take place in the kitchen. It does. And when I heard about this, I'm like, go after them. Like, you know, if this is happening, he needs to be, quote unquote canceled. And then I started thinking, well, who's going after him? Because I think that there's when with chefs, when we look at Noma and we see what they had a staff of 36 and they had 30 people on stage. Like they almost had they almost had 100% stage rate to cooks, which, as if you have two or three stages in your kitchen, that's pretty good. But here you have a kitchen who has Michelin stars and basically has half of its workforce working for either peanuts or for free,
So it's interesting. I didn't know that ratio, but at Gaghan, I believe we had 13 to 15 chefs.
right?
I'm not including dish and
Right, right,
servers. We had like 13 to 15 chefs, and we had 15 to 30 stages depending on the season.
right.
We had
And
like a 2 to 1.
did they pay?
They did not pay, but we housed and fed them.
Right,
They had free lodging. They had two, sometimes three meals a day. Um, and we took care of them. Like we took them
and
out. We took them out like every weekend. I paid for anytime I was with any interns,
right,
paid for everything we did. We went out as a restaurant a lot. We went on big vacations like 5-star resort booked out.
right.
And all the stages who were there that season, they're on vacation.
Thank you very much for tuning into Two Bears Podcast. This is the first episode of probably three or four. Uh, Try to keep them in there around the 20, 30 minute mark. Hope you enjoyed. Tune in next time.